traction, just spinning wheels. Now.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Uberkooledgarage. On this week's episode, we're gonna hop into Ryan's Ghia. Basically, crunch time on Ryan's Ghia. I'm trying to knock out as much stuff as I can. Jumping into the video, we're gonna be doing some painting, some wiring stuff, some suspension stuff. I want to try and get the front of his car completely done within the next couple weeks, and then we'll go ahead and hop on the interior and also finish off the engine compartment and stuff like that. I think I finally found another company that I can pick up aluminum piping from for the radiator system. I'm still kind of working stuff out on that. I need to try and find all the correct fittings, all the silicone hosing and all that stuff. So having a hard time finding some reducers that I need, and I also need to find some type of Y fitting that will run on the engine side, but I will find that. It's just going to take a little bit of time trying to get all that stuff sorted out, but a ton of progress has gone on. But let's go ahead and hop into this episode. Hope you guys enjoy. Picking up where I left off. So went ahead and got the nose cone fitted back on the car. I went and picked up some of the panel clips just to hold the panel in place. Keeps all the stuff nice and flush. So got everything all positioned where it needs to be. I also went ahead and rough cut out the grill holes. These are the factory ones. Still have to clean it up a little bit. Ryan was actually wanting to open these up more, so I might open them up more, or I might leave them for him to open them up, depending on what he wants. So maybe I'll send him a couple sketches and might just cut it out. So got the entire nose cone fitted up. Get all that stuff situated. We'll go ahead and drill the speed holes in the bottom. I'll send him a couple things cutout wise. The hood, same thing. I'm probably going to trim it back just a hair bit more, and then I'll make the side panels that connect all of this stuff in. Make the little gurney flap that loops around all the way around. And then we can sand all that stuff down, throw some body filler over it. Probably self-etch primer all of this stuff, and then we'll probably just spray a flat black over it, and then that way it kind of matches and blends in, and then Ryan can do what he wants with paint. So go ahead and burn this in real quick. Some of the gaps are a little bit bigger than I would have liked them to be, but that's kind of just the way that it turned out. So the nose of this car has been hit, I would assume multiple times, so everything isn't 100% lined up. So this is fitted up as good as I can. You can see that the hood lines up all the way through, so that looks good. just like the rear engine bay, went ahead and started painting everything in here black. As you can see, I have some touch-up spots, but got everything all cleaned out, taped up the VIN number, got it all sprayed flat black. I still have a couple things I need to do down here, like doing an alignment and then the brake lines. So we'll get those in. Also need to flare this line here for the clutch. Need to get a master clutch ordered. So once you get all that stuff situated, I can wire up the brake lights, the brake light switches, get those in, get the fuel tank in, hook up the lines, get all that situated. But it's getting a lot better. I'm probably going to go through here and pull a bunch of this wiring out and just kind of reroute it, make sure that everything's plugged in the way it needs to be, especially since there's stuff like this, big old wire nut with a lot of random wires attached to it. So kind of want to go through the wiring, make sure that everything's plugged in where it needs to be, get it all cleaned up and ready to go. Like there's this right here. I'm not 100% sure on where that's going or what it's doing. But we'll go ahead and clean all this stuff up. I'm going to end up bed lining all of the entire front of the hood, and then we can start putting it back together. So it's getting there. I'm going to probably work on getting some of the wiring pulled out, and then I'll get that taped off. That way I don't paint any of the wiring. And then we'll go ahead and paint this side too. So we'll go ahead and keep moving forward on this and get it closer than it was before. So let's deal with some wiring. Well, got all of the wiring out. As you can see, everything now is flat black. So that's just a reflection on that, but everything's all flat black, which turned out really good. So bed liner should go over this and get full coverage. That way there's no more orange. I don't want the orange to bleed through the bed liner. So, and the spray paint actually gets down into the crevices that I know I'm not going to be able to get a brush or anything like that for the bed liner. So turned out pretty good. We'll go through and rewire the entire front here, get it all nice and pretty, nice and neat. That way we can figure out exactly what goes to what and where everything needs to be. Make sure that everything functions properly, so we can pull the wires for the engine up into the fuse box up here. So the only thing that's orange in the engine bay now is this piece. I'm going to probably smooth out some of the tack welds on the nose. So I still need to do a little bit of work on the nose, but we'll get to that here pretty shortly. Finish that off, that way that's done. So we'll go ahead and start. I'll probably just bedline this section here and then finish up the wiring, and then I'll probably need another can of bed liner. So we'll go through and bedline the whole rest of it, but I at least want to get like this section here. That way we can get the wiring done, buttoned up, out of the way. So let's go ahead and get all that stuff situated. Well, I was definitely not expecting to have enough to do the entire inside in here, but turns out I had just enough to do all of this. So everything's all bed lined. It's got a nice texture all the way through. Got it all the way up in there too, so it all looks really, really good. I actually might have to roll that section one more time just to get a little bit more texture in it. But yeah, it turned out really good. So now it's time to let this dry up. We'll start slapping the wiring back in, get it all nice, straight, clean, ready to rock. I'm probably going to go through and probe a couple things just to make sure they are where they are. And go where they need to go. But other than that, this turned out pretty darn good. So we'll go ahead and continue on. Well, sitting underneath Ryan's car, I decided to go ahead and throw an alignment on it since he's got new ball joints all the way across for the steering. The steering damper I did in a couple videos ago. So all of this is all brand new. Went ahead, threw an alignment on it, got it all cinched down, made sure it was all tight. When he delivered the car, a couple of these nuts were off. So one of the spindles had popped out. So I'm gonna go through and tighten all of these. I got the camber all set on both of them, but going through everything, you can see that nut's loose. That nut's completely loose. Shock tower bolt is almost all the way out. He's got one nut down here, but if you go over to the other side, no shock tower bolt. This bolt here is completely missing. I'm assuming because of the sway bar. So I'm gonna have to adjust the sway bar. I went to storage and grabbed a new nut and bolt because I had spares. That one looks okay. Shock tower bolt up there is off and there's no shock tower lower bolt. So also missing a lug nut right there to hold the spacer in. I think there's one missing on this side too. Yes, there is. So I have spare lug nuts, so I'll go ahead and throw those in there. Readjust the sway bar, tighten up all of the suspension, make sure that all of it's good. And then I'm going to put the brake hard lines in there, get those situated. I went ahead and put a bend in the brake line holders. So I'll probably just run a bolt through here and then bolt it back there, basically in the same stock location. Make sure that the hard lines are gonna line up with those first. And then after that, all I have to do is wire up the fuel pump and tie the fuel lines in, drop that in, and all of this section here should be done. Gonna order a new master cylinder for the clutch. Been working on cleaning up all of the wiring, so the wiring's starting to look pretty darn good. The reason I tore it all out, not only to paint, but I just want to make sure I know where everything is and make sure that everything functions properly. And the way that it was kind of set up before was kind of a little hokey. So, and I also noticed that there isn't a headlight switch. So there's no headlight switch. I believe it was just on a toggle switch. So I am going to dig around my spare parts bin. I'm pretty sure I have a headlight switch. We'll go ahead and put in a factory headlight switch for him. And the front section of all of this is actually looking really good. So I want to try and knock out all of this stuff and get it all situated and ready to rock. You just saw me screw in the front fender flares. So these fit on there pretty good. The only issue that I'm having is this front lip here. So I might have to try and figure something out with that. Maybe I'll try and take the heat gun and do that. The front fenders aren't perfect. So you can see this kind of caves in a little bit here. So I'll get behind there and try and hammer this out straight, get it back to where it needs to be. Everything else turned out pretty good. So these are just self-tapping screws for now. Now I have all my points. I can pull those out, drill them out, put in nut certs, and then I'll end up probably putting in some stainless Allen head bolts in there for him on the fronts and rears. The rears, actually, I'm probably gonna have to shave a little bit. I still need to kind of do an alignment on the rear. I'm probably gonna have to pull the tire back this way. I think it's got a little bit too much toe in, but I'm probably gonna have to take a Dremel and maybe grind this section out a little bit, and maybe just a tiny bit here. So you can kind of see how towed in the rears are at the moment, but we'll get to that once we get to finishing up all the rear stuff. So the fronts turned out pretty good, other than that one spot. Still working on the front end. I need to finish welding it off and then bodywork the whole thing, but it's fitting on there pretty darn good. Same thing with the front of this one. And then we got a super deep Bondo patch here. So on the underside of the fender, I can feel where the dent is. Probably going to grind out some of this Bondo since it is so thick. A lot of it chipped out, some of it stayed. So I'll probably chip out quite a bit of this, pull out the dent as much as I can for Ryan, and then we'll go ahead and re-body work it in. So we'll figure that out, and we'll go ahead and try and figure out a solution for that, because it just looks wonky. But the over fenders actually look really good on the car. I'm kind of surprised. So they look really good. So we'll continue pushing on all of this stuff. Wiring is getting wrapped up. I'm gonna run all the stuff for the fuel pump and all that stuff here pretty quick. That'll probably be in the next video. We'll get all the wiring finished, and we'll probably go through and test everything, make sure everything works the way that it needs to. So we'll continue pushing on getting this car as close to running as possible. Okay guys, so that's all I have for you on this episode. We got quite a bit of work done. There's still a lot to do. So Ryan said his birthday is the end of July, so that is at least the goal, if not sooner, to get this car up and going for him. So we'll continue pushing on it. We'll finish up the wiring in the next video, try and get everything functioning the way that it needs to, and then we'll probably end up finishing the front nose, and we'll get the radiator hood duct finished up. I have a couple ideas that I'm probably gonna run by Ryan just to see the way that the hood is set up now. If I do weld on the ducting pieces to it, I think that the hood is actually going to be too heavy, and the way the scoop is, it's probably going to be a pain in the butt to do anything with the car. If you need to rewire it or anything like that, you're gonna have a big huge duct right in your way. So I got a couple ideas for that I'll run by Ryan, and we'll see how that goes. That might entail me kind of redoing the front plate that kind of blocks off the radiator from the rest of the inside of the hood, but that shouldn't be too big a deal. It'll probably make it better, if anything. And then we will start finishing up motor stuff. We need to get the alternator in there, get the coolant pipes all ran, and kind of plug in a couple wires here and there, get a starter in it, and a clutch slave. And then all that stuff's pretty quick and easy as soon as we get the parts in. The next large project on the car is going to be the floors. So Ryan brought me the car with some Mazda RX-8 seats in it, and there was kind of sound deadening and carpet and other stuff on top of the floor underneath the seats that, you know, he couldn't see underneath the seats, but the floor is pretty much non-existent under there. So we're gonna cut in some new pan halves, get those installed, and get it all painted and get it all set up for him. So that will be in the next couple episodes. So thank you guys for watching, subscribing, liking, comment if you have any suggestions on how I can make content better for you. It will really help me out, try and get the best videos out to you. So until the next one, peace out, guys.